everybody, and welcome to our fairy tale reading for today. My name is Miss Kinsey, and I'm a librarian here at the Dell Rapids Public Library, and I am joining you today from outside, as you guys can see. We're having some work done at the library on our air conditioner, and it is a beautiful day today, so I thought I would just step outside and share our story with you guys today. Now, our story today is The Princess and the Pea, and it was originally written by Hans Christian Andersen back in the 1800s, like 1835. Now, I printed off the original version. As you can see, starts here, and then it just goes to here. It's not a very long story. He doesn't give you a whole lot of dialogue or information. He just kind of gives you the bare bones of the story. So I thought instead of that one, I would share with you the version from a book that we have at the library called The Land of Stories, A Treasury of Classic Fairy Tales. So this is a book full of all kinds of different fairy tales, and it sticks mainly to the original versions, but just gives you a little bit more information. And there's also some really pretty pictures in here that I'll show you. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with The Princess and the Pea. Fun thing about being outside is I get to wave at everybody who drives by. All right, here we go. Once upon a time, there was a handsome prince who was in desperate need to marry a princess. His father, the king, was getting older and wanted his son to have an heir before he died. So the prince traveled all over the world looking for a suitable bride. There was only one problem. All the princesses in the kingdoms nearby were already married. Dear son, if a princess can't be found, why not settle for a nice duchess or a countess? The queen asked the prince. No, she must be a princess, a real princess, the prince insisted. Father wants to leave a true royal bloodline behind when he dies. It's the only way to make him happy. Eager to please his father, the prince continued his exhaustive search. He traveled to kingdoms further away than any prince of his kingdom had ever traveled before. Unfortunately, he always returned to the castle empty-handed. I don't think I'll ever find a real princess to wed, the prince said. Father will die thinking I'm a failure. Don't worry, my son, the queen said. We'll find you a princess, I promise. You must be patient. As luck would have it, rumors started circulating throughout the kingdom that a princess from a faraway land was missing. The queen kept the castle on high alert to look out for such a person, hoping the missing princess would be the key to her husband's and her son's happiness. As time went on, the old king became very ill. Fearing his father was in his final days, the prince lost all hope that he would find a princess to marry in time. I have no choice but to marry a duchess, the prince told his mother. I'll meet with the ladies of the court tomorrow and select a bride. Naturally, the prince was devastated, but the queen wasn't ready to give up. That night, the kingdom experienced the strongest rainstorm it had endured in decades. There was a soft knock on the castle door, and a servant answered it. The caller was a beautiful young maiden who was soaked to the bone and shivering in the cold. Please, may I be given shelter for the night? The maiden asked. I've been walking for days and have nowhere to hide from this nasty storm. The servant took pity on the young woman. Of course, my dear, he said. Please come inside where it's dry. Thank you. I shall never forget this generosity, the maiden said. The servant took the maiden into the kitchen and sat her by the fire to keep warm. Where are you from, ma'am? He asked. I wish I knew, she said. I'm afraid I've lost my memory. I've been traveling from kingdom to kingdom, hoping to find something familiar, but so far, I found nothing. Oops, here's our picture. The servant's heart began to flutter. Could this maiden be the missing princess? He informed the queen of the visitor at once. Interesting, said the queen. She might be the missing princess, but with no memory, there's no way to be certain. The queen thought for a moment and came up with a plan. I know what to do, she said. We'll offer her a bed for the night with 12 mattresses stacked on top of one another and place a pea under the bottom mattress. If the maiden has trouble sleeping, we'll know she's indeed the missing princess. Only a true princess could feel a small pea under a dozen mattresses. The servant did just as the queen said. He made a bed with 12 mattresses and offered it to the maiden. What a strange bed, the maiden said. But I'm so tired. I'll take anything I can get. The servant fetched the maiden a ladder so she could climb to the top of the highest mattress. He blew out the candles in her chambers and left her alone to sleep. The following morning, word of the queen's plan had spread throughout the castle. All the servants, the queen, and the prince waited anxiously outside the maiden's door to see how she had slept. That is quite a bed, isn't it? When the maiden opened the door, she had bags under her eyes and couldn't stop yawning. How did you sleep, my dear? The queen asked. Not well, I'm afraid, the maiden said. Thank you so much for your kindness, but I tossed and turned all night long. It's a miracle, the prince said. We found the missing princess. The crowd in the hallway burst into cheers and applause. The maiden was confused by the sudden celebration. Excuse me, the maiden asked. What did you say I am? I'm sorry you didn't have a restful night, my dear, the queen said. We hid a pea under your bed. Only a real princess would have been able to feel it. The maiden was delighted to learn that she was a princess, and the discovery allowed her to reconnect with her family in a far-off kingdom. The prince and princess were married and had many children before the king passed away. Both had gotten exactly what they were looking for. The prince had finally found a wife, and the princess had finally found a life. And together, they found a happily ever after. The end. Now, one of the main differences between that version and the version by Hans Christian Andersen was that the queen actually asked for 20 mattresses and then 20 ender down beds. So I'm assuming like a feather mattress type of a thing. So like almost 40 mattresses. Yeah. But that was really about the only other difference. This says, so the prince took her for his wife, for now he knew he had a real princess. And the pea was put in the museum, where it may still be seen if no one has stolen it. Do you guys think there's still a pea somewhere in a museum waiting to be found? Maybe. Well, I hope you enjoyed this telling of the Princess and the Pea, and I hope you can join me next week for another original fairy tale. See you then. Bye.